Let's get into one of the most popular topics of our podcast because shout out to all our YouTube people who continuously run up the numbers when we talk about Joe Budden, Rory, and Mal. Shout out to those who are invested in this topic. So, for those who don't know, Rory and Mal actually came out with a podcast, right? It's called Rory and Mal. We're not going to be too complex with that. It's really called Rory and Mal. Now, we already spoke about how they addressed it on that Vimeo video, right? And how they felt about the whole situation. But on their podcast that is now dropping on Saturdays, and we're going to get into that kind of that conflict right there. Mal brought up somebody asked him, like, yo, can friends do business, right? Especially with their experience, can friends do business? And he actually answered it in a different way than I expected.
You can do business with friends, and I think we got to stop acting like you can't. Because people always say, "Don't mix business and friends." Don't. You can absolutely do business with friends.
Like you should be able to. You should
learn a nigga about your friends.
That's a different thing. It's just that sometimes in business you realize, oh, this nigga's just not my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not my friend. I thought you were my friend, but you're not. But you can absolutely do business with your friends. It's just conversation. It's just transparency. It's just honesty, integrity, morals, character.
Shout out to the guy just staring at the wall, you know.
Listen, I didn't get that. I didn't understand. I didn't question it. I was like, that's your vibe. Everybody has a different vibe. But Moose, what is your take on the breakdown of what keeps friends and business intact?
Yeah, man. I mean, of course, he lists some very powerful traits around like things that matter in any relationships, right? He talks about character, integrity, just morals, the whole nine. It's like, absolutely. I think in any relationship, these are things that are going to be extremely important for the strength of the relationship or the well-being of the relationship. The part that honestly had me kind of like, ooh, where he said that you can do business with friends, but sometimes you get into business and realize, oh, this dude really wasn't my friend. Like we weren't even there to begin with. That's the part that I'm like, wow, I've never thought about it that way. Because it's true. Like growing up, we've all been told, yo, don't do business with family or friends. And the reason being is because you can't separate your emotions from what's business, or, you might kind of stay in a relationship longer than what you should be. But for at least our generation, or even I'll speak to my example or my experience, even in working with someone like yourself or working with someone like E or just any of the people who we work with regularly, for the work to work, we had to be close friends. Like I can't see it happening any other way, right? Yes. Like we hang out together when we're on the road. I had lunch with with E's wife and his daughter. Like, like it doesn't work if we weren't that personal and close with each other. But yeah, to kind of face that cold reality of, oh, you weren't my friend, it just kind of has me wondering like, well, why would you go in business with me to begin with unless you were just trying to take from what I brought to the table? And it's just like a dirty kind of cold-blooded way to even go about doing business, but it don't make sense to me. Like that's the part that I like what he's saying, but I'm just saying in my mind, I'm like, man, why would someone do that though? Like I think a part of the business experience is to be able to work with those who you like to work with. So to do all of that just to work with somebody who you don't really want to work with after all, man. And I'm not saying, these guys are at fault for it, but I'm just kind of speaking to the situation. Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about it from a personal standpoint, right? I'm going to talk
real
about
life
it from
scenario.
real life scenarios in this situation. So I can understand almost in both ends of getting into business and then realizing yo, you may not necessarily have my best interests.
Mhm.
And then from a standpoint of I got into, like, I was cool with somebody and I actually got closer because of the business. So let me break down the positive before the negative, right? So that was with you, right?
Okay.
We were cool, right?
Mhm.
We were absolutely cool, but I won't say that we were as tight as we are now, right? When we start talking about Nicky and Moose and doing something together, we're like, okay, we work together very well. We have cool conversations, but like on the personal side, we never really had those conversations until recently, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I think that's both of us kind of like, okay, we have this relationship. We're great. Okay, let me slide one thing. Okay, you took that well. All right. At least for me. I don't know about you. Okay.
Right.
You still stayed around. You're still consistent. We talked things out. We had our ups and downs already and some weird stuff, and we're still like, the business never got compromised because of that, nor did our friendship get compromised. I'm like, oh, well, let me tell you about this personal thing. And then I wait. I'm like, okay, he's cool. He opened up about something too. Cool, right? But it was because of the business is why we became so close on a friendship level, right? So, which isn't, I don't know if it's common or not. It worked for me. You know what I mean? So if other people have experienced that with like, okay, we're cool, like, and then we grew this brand and now it's like, we actually live this life. Like it actually is Nicky and Moose. Like he wanted me to come on to Atlanta. Like, what do you mean you're not coming? You have to come. I just like
100%.
100%. What are you talking about? Like, I'm going here. You have to go here. And I honestly bought my ticket and then had to refund it. Shout out to the Juneteenth celebration, which is a holiday now. Shout out to everybody. But so from that experience, I can say I learned a lot about friendship because of business. Because for me, if I can't do business with you, I can't be friends with you. That's how I look at things. So that the fact that like the business side through extreme execution, shout out to all our extreme execution people and the flight assessment people and all those great people, right? Because of extreme execution and because of the podcast, right? It has grown to be a legit, like solid friendship. Now, from another standpoint of I've had a friend that as we got into business and money started to come in, you realize how selfish certain people are and in which doesn't match my values. And I'm like, hold on, did you really just cancel me out and just thought of you in this situation? Because friends don't do that. At least for me, friends don't do that. So, and ever since those particular situations, the friendship has never been as solid as it was before, right? And so I say all this because I do believe friends could be in business, but for me, the type of person I am, it's like business actually has to come in first for us to be friends. It happened with, and shout out to Nick. Everybody knows, well, everybody should know Nick. Get me? But shout out to Nick. We met because of E, right? And he was in Jamaica doing camera stuff that he does and all that great stuff. And we started working together and we realized like, yo, we're both dumb, like together. we're both dumb together.
Snap.
Like,
He said, wow, this is, hey.
we both have dumb moments. Like, we have a lot in common. Okay, cool,
man.
right?
I was not expecting that. That's
it's true.
hilarious.
It's true. But then even to the point where for me with Nick is that I will put our friendship over business. So if he, and I can be very honest with this because he allows me to, when he sucks at the business side, I don't talk to him at all. At all. Because that's where my friendship goes over, because I know how I can get in a business level, and I like verbally stab people. I'm fully aware of my flaws, and I don't try to fix them at that point. But I understand how I am when I'm upset and when certain things don't happen in the manner that it should. So I kind of allow a buffer, aka Carl, shout out to Carl, to handle that from that side, because that's my best friend, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's weird, but I can still do business with him when he is super level-headed and great, and see we're on the same page, and those great times, right? But like any friendship, any business relationship too, it goes through ups and downs, right? So, but at the end of the day, what I wanted to just totally say with me, it's business and then friendship. And I don't know if that's common. I don't know. I don't know if that's normal.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I know for me, like traditionally, I've always kept them separate. And even if I started establishing like a very close relationship with someone I'm doing business with, because just a common thing, we're spending a lot of time together, work is going great, or whatever the case may be. I still try and keep a fine line between what is business and what is really, really personal, just because I'm like, man, not that I don't want to be friends or super close with that person, but I'm just like, I really want to protect what is professional, right? Now, over time, as the trust factor really starts to go there, and I think it's for me, if I were to think about like, what is that thing that allows you to kind of say, all right, fine, I'm going to like break that rule for you, is when you start to see that someone consistently has your back.
Right.
Like, oh, you really genuinely care. Okay, that's not just a business thing, because you had no gain, no reward, no interest in my well-being in that particular scenario, but you still went to bat for me or let me know about something or protected my interest, in a certain way. So I feel like those are characteristics of friends. So it's difficult to then continue treating those people as just business partners, because it's like, okay, like, dang, you just kind of went, came into the friend zone. So that's what I've noticed. That's like some things that help to keep the relationship flowing.
But what about because I mean, there's certain relationships that you have to keep business, right? And separate from both ends, right? Like, there's certain people that I would never want to do business with because of our personal relationship. I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to mess up the friendship. I know if you mess up in business, there cannot be at least for me, there cannot be a friendship if you really mess up business side for me. Now, what about when it comes to partnership? Like when you go into business together, because transactional can stay transactional, right? I hired you for a service. We have great conversations, and we both see the goal and know the results. So it seems like we have this really great relationship, but at the end of the day, it's still very transactional. But from a partnership, starting business type stuff, starting a whole brand type stuff, I believe, and that's just me, and maybe I'm naive and I don't know much. I'm cool with that, right? But me, if I'm going to talk to you every single day, I got to be friends with you.
100%.
I gotta. Like, I'm not gonna talk to you every single day. I am not that a business holic person to just talk to you every single day with no like, so how is your well-being? Like, are you like, are you going out? Like, what'd you do today? Like, are we laughing? Like, because I need to laugh. Like, if we can't laugh, I can't rock with you. Like, I'm a whole jokester.
And I think that's actually one of the ways to ruin a business relationship too, though, if you really think about it. You know, like if you're only reaching out to somebody when you, and we've talked about this, when you only need something. It's like you're now putting yourself in a category that's like, oh, okay, I already know, like I'm not necessarily excited when the phone rings and I see your name. But from time to time, and it actually strengthens business relationships when you can just like shout out to Rob Wilson. I hit Rob Wilson just the other day, and I just to check in, like nothing business related. I was just like, oh man, just sending some good energy your way. That was it. Right. And I'm like, you can see the appreciation for it because I'm sure he's usually getting hounded by people constantly reaching out, for things related to their business needs.
Right.
So like, I'm like, man, I don't want to necessarily be known as that guy. And that's one of the things that I got to say I messed up on in COVID, because COVID really like turned me into a bad introvert. I've always been introverted, but I became a really bad introvert because of COVID. Like all of a sudden I kind of like forgot people existed in the world. So I'm like, that's not cool. Like you got to start. And again, you said it, I'm saying it too. I'm not perfect, man. It was just one of those things that I'm like, yo, what happened to me? But I'm like, okay, you got to reach out to people, and not just when you need something. Like those relationships are truly appreciated so much more, because it's like, wow, that person genuinely cares. Like he knows my son or daughter's name. He knows my so-and-so's name. He asked about this situation or that situation. It's like, at the end of the day, that's what really makes a relationship valuable.
These are facts. And I think also when it comes to me, it plays into a small plug, the flight assessment, because I'm a high pilot and a high flight attendant, which I feel in this season the flight attendant is questionable at times. Yeah. It's kind of questionable.
Flight attendant's on vacation.
Yeah, it's kind of questionable because I have to get used to people again, and I'm used to turning it off when I want to turn it off. So that's a different thing. But
our flight attendant's coming back. It's coming back.
Because you are outside again, right?
Yes.
I was inside and I became super people person because I could turn on the camera and say, hey, love you guys. Let's just all talk. We're all here together. Right. And I could turn it off. I go outside. Right. Yep. I go outside and it's like, Nicky. I'm like, who are you? Oh, shoot. I can't turn this off. I can't be like, hello, and then walk away and come back and be like, how are you? And then walk away. I can't do that. But me bringing that up is like, maybe that's why like, if we can't do business, we can't be friends kind of thing, because still my pilot is like business, but I still need to be a friend, right? My flight attendant is like, we still need to be friends. I can't just be business with you depending on the certain business that we're doing. Like, I can't just be business with you. That's trashy. Like, how would these conversations be? Okay, and so Mal said this. How do you feel, Moose? Okay, next subject.
All right, next subject.
The next subject is little baby. How do you feel about little baby? It would be boring. It would be trash. So that also plays along, probably, I would assume. I could be wrong. But I assume because of the flight assessment, flightassessment.com, for those who have not taken it, flightassessment.com. But because of the flight assessment, I do business and friends simultaneously because I'm a 99 and a 99. So it's, you know what I mean? I'm just saying. All right.